Okay. I'm really starting to feel normal again today, which is lovely. And I wanted to show you how I'm using what I call carton board. It's just the cartons, that thin, like cereal box, cracker box, or this cheap Rising Crust pizza that Baron and I have on Pizza Fridays. I use this a lot in the construction of my pieces for stability. This piece right here is cut out of that same thing. All of the supports, all the triangular supports throughout the cupboard are cut out like that, as are, you can see here on the edge, you can see that that's carton board. Now you're asking, why do I glue carton board to carton board? Because as you can it's pretty floppy and I don't like having to deal with any of this. I need something that is just shy of something that's closer to 2 millimeters than 3. I like using the gray board, which is another thing. Pull out a piece. Is that a piece? No. Come on. There's a piece of gray board in here. I've got one in here. Gray board is the stuff that's like on the back of your notebooks and stuff. I can buy it in 3 millimeter and thickness and 2 millimeter. I buy the 3 because I tend to use it for house kinds of things, things that need to be a bit sturdier. So to make this, it's not that hard. I'm not using any fabulous stuff. I basically take this is probably around 30.2 to 3 centimeters and 30.3. It's a square, and I cut them in half. I measure it so that I can get them close. This one's a finished one, and you can see, my measuring is not that fabulous, but I clean these up afterwards. And when I say clean them up, I just clean up the edges, meaning I do some measuring and create some better angles. So the way that I do this is I just open this up. I've been using watered tacky glue. I'm finding that the watered tacky glue, for me, for what I'm working on, primarily with paper, it adheres better. And I add some on, and you're thinking, you didn't add nearly enough on. Well, I may have, I may not. I use little bits of ends of board as a scraper. There are 2 reasons I do this. Number one, I want the glue to get all the way as close to the corners as it can, and this has a tendency to dry a little quicker, so I've got some wiggle room on how I can work on this, how long it'll take. And then I just flip the top on. I usually line it up with one end and then do a little wiggle into place. Okay, and you can see I'm getting some little bits of overflow, and I'm going to use my bone folder, and I just, because this board is thin, I can, oh wow, that really splurted right out there, and I need that to happen. I also have like little rags and things so I can clean things up. So I want that to adhere, and I want it to adhere well. So that's why I'm using this edge and not this edge. And then I'll pick it up and give it a wipe on the edge, flip it over, and do the exact same thing. Now you're thinking, why are you doing this on both sides? Because I want to make sure that I've gotten everything. Okay, I look, it's not bad. Sometimes I'll get some little, I call them like little mouths, little corner mouths. In the end, I usually end up trimming maybe 3 to 4 millimeters off the edge, but this is pretty attached, and then all I need to do is put it underneath something. Now, when I'm doing like quick work like this, I'll actually just lift up my mat, put it directly under my mat, because I know I'm pressing down on this. So that's how I do that. Hold on, I am a person who doesn't like to waste anything, so I see this and I just scrape it back into the container. These are actually the precision glue that I use. I am so paranoid that I'm gonna get something in these and then it's going to dry, because you can see it's kind of like a little needle kind of a gauge there. This is just a pill bottle with some water in it, and I only use it for this. I put them in and then give them a good blow to make sure that they're, and then look down the center to make sure there's nothing in it. Then I reattach it. I know that these are not incredibly expensive, but I don't like wasting things. So then this can just go back. Now when it comes to cutting these and making sure they're trimmed correctly, I really don't use a ruler. I'll tend to rely on my triangles for this, and because I know that this is straight and it's an angle, I can get it as close as I want. I'll go ahead, and I'm using the big one here because this doesn't have to be super precise. And you can see I've drawn that in. Then I can flip it around, and because I know, get my glue stuff out of here, because I know that this is straight. Sorry, I got a graphite shines. It's a shiny material, so sometimes I can't see where I'm going if the light's on it. So that's why I just moved that. And you noticed I only did those 3 sides, because all I'm going to do now, I can use this, but I'm going to be smart and reach over here and get my this is the Publisher. I've had this for 30 years. It was a gift to me from my friend George, and I just line it up. Now, does this make this 100% straight? Nope. Does it get me in the ballpark of being straight? Yeah. Remember that many videos back, I had talked about one of the things that I had noticed when I was doing some research into some modern, people who will make some contemporary foldable furniture, paper doll furniture. Everything just looked too perfect, and I didn't like that. I'm just gonna break that, stick that in there. And I didn't like that. I don't like that at all. I like seeing the eye or the hand of the artist in there. So now I can assume that this side, and this side are relatively straight, and I can now just be lazy and use this plastic. See, don't want to. And then I do a quick check around the other side to make sure I'm looking at the edges to make sure that there's no white poking out. Now, one thing I sometimes forget to do, I go along with my bone folder these edges. The reason I do that is when you cut these, it can sometimes make the edges very sharp. There's like a little sharp bit on there that I really don't like. So doing this just cuts down on the chances of having to deal with that. Now, I can also cover this with paper at this point, but I got a bunch of these to do, so I'm going to do that in another video. But I wanted you to see, you can look at this, and yeah, I spent time and effort to do this. Come on, just focus. Just focus. You're just not going to focus for me, are you? Put my hand down here. Maybe it'll focus that way. Nope, won't focus that way. I know this seems like a lot to be doing for such a simple, like, oh, I could just order that. Yeah, but remember, I really try to keep my costs down so that when I want to buy a specific thing, like a new knife or a bunch of blades, because I can't make, I was looking at this the other day and going, ooh, I'm getting down on my, this used to be completely packed. I'm getting down on my blades. I need to make sure I stash away, $20 so I can get another one of these. So you cut the corners where you can. And besides, I like using a lot of recycled materials in my work because it's better for the environment, and it's part and parcel of who I am. It's very much part of my identity, as you don't waste things. I hate the wasting things. Just makes me super duper angry, and I don't like doing that. So yeah. And in the next video I'll show you how I put the paper on the outsides of these. Again, it's super easy. It's not a lot. It's actually really easy. Thank you, patrons, for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next video.